Folks, we're live. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dr. Applesauce, and you can trust him. He is a doctor. What's up, man?
I'm a fake doctor. I'm a fake doctor, by the way.
Well, I mean, hey, man, I mean, you got a much bigger audience than me. I'm sure like a lot of people that follow me know who you are. But for anyone that doesn't, take it away. Give your intro.
My name is Will, Dr. Applesauce on YouTube and like everything else. I've been a full-time YouTuber since 2020, actually. Was able to go full-time during the pandemic. I love to make content on Pokemon stuff. I used to be a big Funko content creator, and then I kind of lost faith in the company and then pivoted over to what my true love has been for 22 years, and that's anime. So making content on anime. And I'm lucky enough to get to travel around with Collecticon and other conventions and host panels with people that I grew up watching shows like Veronica Taylor and Sarah Natachini, who are voices of Ash, and a bunch of other anime creators. So yeah, that's me. And I have 3 kids and a family, and somehow figured out how to make a living out of this spare bedroom making videos that people watch. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've had other people on who are, full-time in like Pokemon or TCGs, like buying and selling, but it's nice to have a full-time content creator on, which is like it sounds like what you built a lot of your, career off, is being a content creator specifically.
Yeah. And it's like, I started making videos, not with like an intention to be full-time, not with, like, hey, I can make money doing this, or this is what I started making videos. I was in school to be a paramedic. I was going to be a firefighter. And I was working in construction at the time. I was a project manager for a countertop and cabinet company. And that's what I was doing. And that's what my dream was. And I just kept making videos and was like, okay, cool. Somebody reached out to be a sponsor. They want to pay me $300 a month. I was like, that's awesome. I could have a $300 a month budget for collecting then. And then, oh, cool, I got monetized. Oh, now I'm making $1,000 a month. And it just kind of got to a point where it was like my next semester of medic school got put on hold because of the pandemic. And I was talking with my wife. We were about to have our second baby. And I was like, hey, so medic school is on hold. I just got laid off from my job because of the pandemic. And I was like, I get 6 months of unemployment. I was like, what if I really work hard for 6 months and do YouTube full time while I'm unemployed and, searching for a job. And by the end of those 6-month period, if I'm making as much as an entry-level firefighter makes, maybe we just try doing this full time. And then I'm not out in the field risking my life every day, risking my health, risking getting sick. And so that August was 6 months, and an entry-level firefighter in Texas in our area makes like $4,100 a month. And I made like $4,200 that month. And so we were like, okay, let's try. And then we just, that's kind of how it happened. And it was 2 years of having a full-time job and then doing YouTube for 20 to 30 hours a week. And to be able to actually go full-time, which is kind of crazy. And it's the coolest job I've had, but it's the hardest job I've had. Like, it's really, really difficult trying to come up with ideas and keeping yourself accountable. And it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Anything that's worth doing is hard though. So that's kind of just the synopsis of how all this happened. And I made my first Pokemon video about a year after I was making Funko videos. And I fell in love with Pokemon back in like 1999, 2000 with first edition base set. I lived in California, and I would save my allowance and go to Wizards of the Coast stores and buy booster packs. And I remember I saved my allowance for 3 weeks. I got $5 a week. So I had $15, went to the actual Wizards of the Coast store we had back then in Anaheim, California, bought 3 booster packs. And this is like a core memory for me, because this is like what started, the love of collecting and Pokemon. Standing in my mom's bedroom by her bed, I opened the first booster pack and it was the Mewtwo Holo. Opened the second booster pack and it was the Holo Blastoise. And opened the third booster pack and it was a Charizard. Back to back to back. I was like 11 years old, 12 years old, something like that. And just so crazy. And then that just kind of started it all from there. I watched the cartoon and just kind of stayed in love with it. And I actually sold those cards when I was 12 for a couple $100 so I could buy presents for my family. And then later on in life, bought them back because I wanted them again. But the first Pokemon YouTube video was in early 2019, something like that. I wanted to relive the base set experience, so I bought a booster box of XY Evolutions for, wait for it, $132.
That's high too. That was high for what
That
Evolution
was expensive at the time. Yeah. $132. Pulled both the Holo and the Reverse Holo and the Mega Charizard EX and was like, well, that was fun. 2 weeks later, went to buy another one and they had gone up to like $250. And that's how the Pokemon content started.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Because like I took the plunge last year and went full time, and it was about almost 2 years into me creating content too. So it's like a 2-year mark where it's like it's just that time to jump in and take a try at it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just one of those. I think the people who get into content creation to make money are the ones that don't last, and the people that get into it because they just want to make fun videos are the ones that last. Like I had an experience at a convention, and I wanted to like share that with people. And I didn't have anybody that really cared. And so I made my first YouTube video, and that's how it all started.
So I know we're going to get into GameStop in just a second, but I did want to ask you one question. Speaking of Funko, so what about the new Funko CEO though? Is that going to turn everything around? Will that revive the Funko channel?
I'll say one thing. Do you know who the new Funko CEO is?
Yeah.
Yes.
For everyone that doesn't know, it's the old it was Wizards of the Coast, or was it?
She was I don't know if it was Hasbro or WotC, but she was like the chief operations officer over there. It was either Hasbro or WotC.
Yeah.
And so she was like in charge of Magic the Gathering, like big wig. This is how much she knew about Magic the Gathering. Okay. She did like an investors call. And so she gets on with this, and with all the other investors, this is a public call. And so she gets on to explain to the investors of Magic the Gathering and Hasbro how she's going to turn the company around. Proceeds to read the definition of Magic the Gathering from Wikipedia. Needless to say, she quit. And I'm pretty certain it was one of those like, hey, listen, we're going to need you to go ahead and resign, and we'll give you a good reference, or you're going to be fired. I'm pretty sure it was one of those situations. And then Funko hires her as CEO. And it's like, okay, sure. Go for it.
It's the definition of failing up. That's how the corporate world works,
I guess, or some type of corporate nepotism where, so, you know, there's this analogy between people who aren't fans of the Poncho Pikachu cards. And it's like, so I don't know if you've heard this theory, but it's like Poncho Pikachu isn't exactly rare. It's just the same people selling it back and forth to each other to pump the numbers up. There's this theory of that, right? So take that theory and apply it to like corporate collectible nepotism type of a situation. And it's like, are any of these people really good, or are these companies just constantly trading employees and executives back and forth and increasing their pay and building their resume? I don't know.
Right.
Pokemon's doing something right though.
And I'm not sure I like really believe that about the Poncho Pikachus.
I'm just saying that is a theory that some people have.
What I'm saying though, I think I've seen screenshots and I've seen groups talks and stuff. I think that really was a thing, especially back during the like 2020, 2021 boom. With some of these high end items. I think people were buying and selling back and forth to pump the prices. I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. All right, so let's talk about GameStop, man, because this is huge. Like, I'm not sure people are really understanding how huge this is. Like, people know it's kind of a big deal, but here, you give your kind of synopsis of it, because you've learned a lot more than me. You've had people send you actual training manuals and things. Give us what you know, give your take, and I'll give some of my take on what I think it means.
So basically, I'll say what it looks like they're doing, and then my opinions on it. Basically, what GameStop is doing is GameStop's going out of business. They've been going out of business for years because their video game model just isn't working anymore. People buy too many video games digitally these days, and that's just the way that it is. And so I think that combined with they have like I don't know if it's a spiff based or a commission based. I don't know if it's spiff based or commission based like incentives for their employees, but that combined with the fact that employees are like really, really pushy and aggressive for like pre-orders and signups and stuff like that has led to, this happening with GameStop. So in an effort to pivot the company and not fail completely, which is an admirable thing. I think it's smart to try and save the company and pivot. They're moving towards TCGs, and not only TCGs, but other collectibles and things of that nature. And so that guide that I showed the pictures of actually alludes to, like, it shows like, hey, they're planning on buying like autographs that are encapsulated, and they're planning on buying other grading companies, and they're planning on buying other TCGs in the future. And even had somebody that commented on my video and said, what did he say? He said, let me pull it up and read it. But anyway, so they're in my opinion, they are trying to pivot the entire company right now, move completely away from video games into a collectible space, which, caveat, is really weird because GameStop owned this wonderful company called ThinkGeek back in the day that was literally a nerd store for collectibles. They sold trading cards, they sold Funko Pops, they sold figurines, they sold all kinds of collectibles, which would have been the perfect avenue to push something like this. But they closed all of the ThinkGeeks in 2021 after the pandemic because most of the sales were coming from online, which was weird. So I think GameStop's moving into this model of doing this, and the way that they're launching it is a buyback program for strictly PSA graded trading cards. I think they're doing sports and Pokemon, only PSA 8 and above. And they've clearly got a whole system lined out. Those documents that I got a hold of and actually looked at actually talk about how their employees are building out some type of an API for the system, which basically means that this system's going to have some type of algorithm that's tracking pricing across something, be it eBay or, different collector apps or price charting or something, that when an employee takes and says, okay, we got a graded card, we're going to scan it, boom, and then it's just going to boom, here's your offer. And that offer can change by the minute. So that takes effort. When you talk about companies like Whatnot and Drip putting together all these huge programs, there's a lot of software engineering that goes into that. Software engineering goes into something like that. So GameStop's putting effort into this. And so that's essentially what's happening, and they're pushing this program out. And one of the big questions was like, well, what are they actually going to be offering? What are the prices going to look like? Are the prices going to be good? Are the prices going to be bad? And the soft launch was actually yesterday. And I think it's every store in Texas or in the Metroplex. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Every store around me is doing it. So I'm probably going to test this and go take some slabs and see what they offer. But information popped up yesterday that a couple people sold slabs at full market value to GameStop. But then some other stuff came out where people were getting offers at about 50 to 60% of market value. So there's a little bit of discrepancy in that information right there. Either way, it's huge because, one, if they're going to be paying anywhere from 60 to market value, that's huge numbers. That's going to be a big deal. And it makes me think of what TikTok recently did with this huge launch to capture a ton of buyers, right? Basically offer incentives, basically take it on the nose and spend a bunch of money in order to get people to come in and be customers, and then take away all of those incentives, right? So that's what is happening with GameStop. And if they're paying anywhere from 60% to market value, and then they can't sustain that forever. So say they change that ultimately and bring it down to 50% or whatever. That's really terrifying, to be honest, because the massive buying power that a company like GameStop has with all of their locations, that this is being rolled out to all stores in June. Depending on if they keep that up for a month or 2 months, it's going to destroy the market on graded cards for everybody, because nobody's going to want to sell to anybody.
What do you mean by that?
Nobody's going to want to sell to anybody unless you have something that's really, really valuable. So unless you have like the chase cards that everybody's wanting, then obviously you can just go sell those at full market value to whomever. Unless GameStop's offering full market value on certain things, like somebody sold a Noivern V alternate art for supposedly full market value, right?
Yeah, they got like $120 something for it, and we were doing the math. Like basically after eBay fees and shipping, you were getting as much or more at GameStop to sell it to them.
Yeah. And somebody, I want to talk about two comments that I got. And one of them was, well, this actually makes a whole lot of sense. As someone is saying, at the beginning, GameStop could potentially offer full market value trade-in while all they have are used video games in the store that they've paid next to nothing on, and they're still making a huge profit. Because what's happening right now, and they haven't mentioned when these cards are actually going to be for sale, when you go and sell a card to GameStop, it gets boxed up and shipped away to the warehouse. They're not being sold right now. So there's no way to like sell it. It doesn't even seem like there's a way for like an employee to finagle away like, oh, I want to buy this. Because I think once it's scanned and you press accept trade, then it's now in this trade this trade document that you're building, and you can't just like take it off.
Right. I mean, so here's my take on the whole situation. I think it's going to be, this is where like the divide becomes between collectors and investors, right? It's going to be bad for collectors. It's going to be great for investors, right? Because here's what's going to happen is you are going to have such a massive amount of cards being removed from the market, boxed up and sent wherever they're being sent, and off eBay and off these other auction platforms, meaning it's going to give huge scarcity to the amount of slabs that are actually available to buy. Yeah. And I just think it's going to move prices up. At the same time, I don't know if you know about
in the short term.
Well, the eBay vault thing, now that that's going away and no one's going to be able to list for 0% selling fees anymore, that's going to artificially raise the market too, because no one's going to be undercutting based on not having to pay fees. So that's going to raise the price. I think anyone holding slabs right now, it's going to be a great thing because it's probably going to raise the value of a lot of these slabs in the short term.
With the caveats. So let's just put tinfoil hats on and speak in the theoretical for a second. So let's say in theory, GameStop's paying 60% market value cash. Let's just say 60% market value cash. Or let's say they're paying 90% to 100% market value on like the top-notch chase cards. Granted, they're not gonna take anything that's more than $500 right now. So that excludes like the big boys like the Umbreons and stuff like that. But you can still get in there and get like some of the really nice alternate art VMAXs. So we'll set those at
$500. That's like the majority of every card per era. There's only like a handful of cards in every era that actually.
We're talking about the cream of the crop that's not going to be within that $500 in a graded card. So we'll take that and set that aside. So let's just say theoretically they're paying 60% for any slab, and they're going to pay. Let's just say they'll pay 90% for any other, for something that's like really, really sought after. That's going to take up a lot of the stuff that's on the market. That's going to take up a lot of what's there for people to buy. And it's going to make it to where, hey, if I can just walk into GameStop, I got this $400 slab. I know they're going to, in theory, I know they're going to give me 90%, and I can just walk into GameStop and do it. I don't have to deal with shipping. I don't have to deal with back and forth. I don't have to deal with listing, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people are going to do that.
And it's kind of like, I guess, bringing in the whole, so for everyone here, give kind of your affiliation with Collecticon. I want to try and tie this into vending too, because it's going to probably affect vendors too, but what's your affiliation with Collecticon?
So I've been a part, officially, unofficially a part of Collecticon since the very first one in 2021. I just reached out and was like, hey, I'm a content creator. I'd love to come to your convention and like make videos. Like, do you have a press pass application? And so I got badges. And then they did 2 more and I went to those. And then they announced a national tour and they invited me along to the national tour. So I'm not like staffed by Collecticon. I don't get paid by Collecticon. I don't make money going to these conventions, but I get opportunity. So I get to go to all of these conventions and I get to host panels with voice actors. And I get access to these celebrities to get to make content with them and stuff like that. I get access to vendors and I can make content with the vendors. I could have my own tables there if I wanted to. So that's kind of my affiliation with Collecticon, is like I'm pseudo staff or unofficial or I get all access. I basically get access to whatever I want, and I can ask for permission to do most things. I'm not staff. I don't call any shots, but that's more or less what it's been an honor to be a part of that and to get to do all of those things. But that's the gist of what my my affiliation is with them.
Oh, it's awesome, man. I mean, on stage, interviewing voice actors, guys you've listened to on all their favorite shows growing up. I mean, it's a huge honor, honestly, to be able to do that.
Dude, sitting on stage with Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat, who, if you guys don't know, are the English voices of Goku and Vegeta. So I'm sitting here and they're sitting there. And I even said it. I'm just like, 30 years ago, 6-year-old me would have, or 20 years ago, 17-year-old me, I would not believe you if you told him that I would be right here with Vegeta and Goku talking to them. Like, it's crazy.
It's incredible. No, but so I wanted to kind of segue into that is, okay, so if GameStop does take the TikTok approach and starts out with these higher valuations, like maybe if you take some lower, maybe they have some sort of system where the lower value 8s or 9s or less sought after cards they give less for, the better cards they give more for. But let's say they do start out with a TikTok model of giving higher value, 70, 80, 90% out of the gate for the first whatever few months. How much do you think, because I think this is going to be a huge impact to local game stores that makes part of their living off of buying slabs, and also a lot of the vendors at Collecticon, because who's going to go to these vendors and take the 70% or whatever they offer when they can literally just march over to GameStop, get a guaranteed cash right in hand right then and there? What do you think the outcome of that's going to be this year?
I think it's hard to say. It really depends on how these soft launches go, and then once the full launch takes off, so we can really see, like, okay, once we really know what the numbers are, because most vendors like myself, I don't vend at Collecticon, but I buy collections. I was telling you earlier, one of the things that I've done for the past 5 years is buy collections. I 100% wholly do not believe in and support going to the store on release day, buying out the shelf, and then turning around and selling things for double value because I bought it all. I don't support that. I 100% absolutely support the model of buying large collections from people at 70%. Boom, they get a huge cash infusion, and then I take my time and effort to make that 20% profit. I was thinking about this the other day or yesterday once I realized, holy crap, what if GameStop actually does start paying people, 80% or 70% or something like that? What will that actually do? How will that actually affect people? And it's going to make it really, really hard. There's going to be some vendors that still grade in mass quantity. So you have two types of vendors at shows at like Collecticon. You have people like me who buy lots from people at, let's say, 60 to 70%. And then they'll, slowly sell them off and take the profit because they have the time. And then you have other vendors, like huge vendors like Trading Card World and Card Rich and places like that, that buy singles and send massive grading submissions in themselves and grade the cards. For those larger vendors, I don't think they're going to be affected at all because they'll just be buying singles and doing what they're doing. For the smaller vendors, they're going to be in a position to where either there's just not going to be slabs to buy. And again, this is if GameStop actually rolls out like this TikTok style model where they're just paying obscene prices up front just to pull in market share. They're either going to be left with, there's not really going to be anything to buy, or we're going to have to pivot and just buy singles, raw singles, and either grade more, which could cause an influx of grading services. Again, I wonder if GameStop's talking to PSA at all. I don't know. Just saying, I don't know. So, and then you can look even further reaching. How could this affect the single market? If people that are buying and selling slabs can't buy slabs anymore, okay, what happens when all of us pivot to just, now we're just trying to buy and sell raw singles? How does that affect the single market?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just going to apologize to all the collectors out there. It's just going to be rough times for you coming up. Like everything in the entire market right now is set up good for investors or businesses. Like you have eBay Vault going away, going to PSA Vault. Prices are up due to rates going up. You have TikTok raising their selling rates. I think they're going to reach up to like 8% or something. So all those low selling rates are going away on TikTok. You have this happening where GameStop's going to remove tons and tons of cards from the market, and it's going to reduce the supply, which is obviously, lower supply. If the demand stays even the same, it's going to raise the prices. I mean, Pokemon is the last two sets. They're I don't know if I would call it short printed, but they are pulling back their print runs from what I've heard. So there's less boxes. If the demand picks up there, we're going to have less products. So it just seems like everything is kind of swirling around to prices appreciating for the rest of this year.
I think what did Rudy call it? What did he said something really that he put it in a really specific way, but essentially was saying this is like a once in a lifetime moment or like a perfect storm where all this stuff that's happening, there's a lot of crazy things happening. And you look at these big companies that are starting to make plays and starting to like, how's this going to affect local game stores that are already struggling? Like if all things are equal and buy prices are equal, I think people are going to support their local game stores that already do support their local game stores because they want to support the mom and pop shop that they've been loyal to that takes care of them, right? If everything's equal. Now, if GameStop starts offering 20, 30% more than a local game store can offer, it's hard to refuse that extra 20 to 30% when you're just a regular guy, and every, 20, $30 makes a big difference. And it doesn't make a big deal unless GameStop can sustain that model for a long time. And that's what we saw with TikTok for a little while, because TikTok was offering these insane discounts for so long that it got to the point where people were starting to refer to TikTok sales for comps. And then things started to fall off a little bit. The discount code started going away, and now it's not quite as talked about, but people are still doing a good business on TikTok.
Yeah, it's just too early to tell what their play is. Like, if they're how they're gonna use these slabs. If they're gonna try and sell them in store, if they're gonna try to make an online site to compete with eBay, if they're gonna make a deal with eBay to have really low fees and just start selling them on eBay.
They do plan. I think they plan on doing both. They're taking everything in right as it comes in, and that guide said that they are currently sourcing in-store display options, and the guide also said that they will be available for sale online at some point. So it's just, how long are they going to hold everything until they start to implement that and start to do that? And then also something I was curious about is, like, how are they going to handle stolen slabs? Because GameStop has bought stolen video games. There's no way that you can tell, but you can track your slab via your certs. If you have, a $500 slab and you have pictures, you know what the cert is, and then you say, oh, this was, say I had a case stolen. That case was $5,000 worth of stuff, and I had 10 slabs in there, and then somebody walks into a GameStop to sell it. Well, you could prove that those are your slabs. Here's the police report that said they were stolen. I'm curious how they'll handle stuff like that.
Nah, I have no clue. Do you have any here? Billy Pets, thanks for the super chat, man. What are they gonna do if you sell too much cash? GameStop 1099 forms. Did it say anything about that in the manual you got, about is there a certain threshold when they stop giving cash, switch to Venmo? Do they give you a 1099 form?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see anything like that. The only thing that I saw was there's 2 different offers. You get a higher offer if you want store credit, and then the other offer was either cash, prepaid gift card, or something like that. So okay. I've just seen 2 offers. I doubt there's going to be any type of reporting. Like, if you take a cash payment, it's not like it's PayPal or Venmo or something like that, where they're like actually reporting what's being paid to you. So I'm not certain how that'll work. But I mean, if I'm selling somebody something face to face, I would always prefer cash. Give me the cash, because cash is king. When I waited tables for 17 years. The cash chips were always better.
So, I mean, we're pretty much in the same, I guess, sector of the hobby. You may have a little different takes, a little different audience, but what's your overall consensus right now? I mean, you're buying and selling collections. You're doing the YouTube thing. You're going to conventions. Like, what is your feeling right now about the state of the overall hobby? I mean, you think it's still strong, moving higher? You think we're starting to stagnate? Can you see like things trailing off towards this year? Like, just how do you feel like the whole overall hobby, the market's going to be doing in the next, 6 months, a year from right now?
I think we're in a new normal phase that is more elevated than the pre-pandemic, pre-Logan Paul boom. And people will say, well, things are bigger than they were before all of that. Yeah, they are, because we had, Pokemon was here, and then we had the Logan Paul that kicked it up, and then the pandemic that kicked it up, and then we're here. And then so all these people came on and are now fans. And then you lose half of those people. Well, we're still here, which is higher than it was there. So the new normal is there's more fans, there's more demand. I think a thing that a lot of people don't think about, and it really took a lot of thinking on my part to wrap my head around it too, and I think some of your videos might have actually helped. When we look at some of these older cards, right, that maybe are a lot rarer than, let's just say, Moonbryon, because it's the easiest example, but sell for a lot less. You say, how does this card sell for so much less, but it's so much more rare than the Moonbryon? Well, if there's 1 million people that want a PSA 10 Moonbryon, and there's only 9,000 PSA 10s, that's a minuscule amount of those people will actually be able to get what they want. So when you look at the demand versus the supply, it's a huge discrepancy there. And then now if you look at sealed product, there is a huge demand of sealed product, but I think a lot of people are opening less sealed product than they normally would, because there is this perception of, if I just wait, it'll be $80, it'll be $90, which is true right now. And there's going to come a moment when Pokemon decides to make a set that's printed a lot less, and that's going to flip, and everybody's going to be mad about it. So I think, honestly, I think it's in a healthy place. I think it's where it should be. You see all these videos that roll around saying, you know, the Pokemon card hobby is in a downward spiral or dying because you can actually walk into Walmart or Target and there's cards on the shelf. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to walk in and buy things. It was unhealthy when you walk in and there's nothing there, right?
Well, especially at retail prices.
Yeah. And if the shelf is full, what does that mean? If you go into Walmart and the beer aisle is huge and full, what does that mean? They're moving a lot of beer because the beer vendors are keeping the shelves full. It's the same thing with the shelves at Walmart and Target and big box stores for Pokemon. If the shelves are full, that's good. That means it's turning over. When you start to see the shelves shrink, like the Funko sections at all big box stores, is when it's bad. And that's not what we're seeing with Pokemon. So I think it's in a healthy place. I think there's a lot of options. If you like modern stuff, there's cheap modern to be had for cheap to open. If you want to just buy singles, there's affordable modern to open. If you like vintage, it's a great time to buy vintage because not a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to it. And the prices have leveled out and got a lot more reasonable than they were a couple of years ago. So I think it's interesting. I'm of the mind, I don't chase master sets. It's just too expensive. I don't care. I have a master set of XY Evolutions, and I absolutely love my XY Evolutions master set because it's such a cool set. And so I like to just go after the singles and buy singles that I want. And so I think it's in a healthy place. I know it's a super long-winded answer, but I think there's a lot out there in the Pokemon space for really any type of collector. There's a lot of opportunity. And if you want to make money, there's opportunity to make money. The low-hanging fruit isn't there where you can just go to the store and clear the shelf. But if you have the ability to do what you do and buy product and hang on to it for years, or do what I do and essentially turn my money over and over and over, buy low, sell at a good price, provide value to the people that buy from me, and take care of the people that buy from me, there's opportunity there for people like that want to do that as well. And if you don't want to make money off of Pokemon, you just want to enjoy Pokemon, that all of it's fine. There's nothing wrong with any of it. Only thing I take issue with is cleaning off a shelf and turning around and trying to flip it. That's the only thing that I take issue with, really.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing a lot longer than me, but as far as like the pack breaks go, like rip and chips, I started out doing it on YouTube. I tested out Whatnot for a while, and the way I describe it is, they kind of turn on the juice for you when you get over there. That they send you a bunch of customers, and your streams are huge, and you're doing great. And then after the first couple, they kind of turn off that juice, and you get left with, you're buried at the bottom of the list, and whoever finds you, really, it's up to you to bring your own customers. And I just felt like my following was better on YouTube for it, so I went back to YouTube. Thought about Drip. I know you're on Drip now. I know you've done pretty much all of it. So what's your take on all the different routes? Like doing it on just like your own stream on like a YouTube or a Twitch or something, Whatnot, Drip, like from your experience, what's been the best platform? Like, not just for the, people buying it, but for you to stream on, like what's got the best, best tools?
I think it really depends on what you want. So like if you're gonna do something on strictly just YouTube, you have to have your own storefront set up, right? That makes sense if you are selling other things. But if all you're really doing are selling the rip and chips, you need to be doing that all the time for that to make sense. The reason I really like utilizing Drip's platform is because I'm paying more than I would pay in fees on like Shopify or something. But there's a huge benefit. They deal with all the customer service. I go and I click on orders. Here's all the orders I need to fulfill. Click, print, and fulfill them. I don't have to do all that back-end stuff. So it makes a huge difference. And what I'll do is if I'm doing something, so I'm doing Lost Origin tonight. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it on YouTube as well or not. But when I'm doing something that I think people will really want to see and get excited about, I'll stream on YouTube and Drip. And I'll have a graphic saying, hey, if you want to buy packs, there's the link. You can go over there and you can go buy your packs, and then you can watch it on YouTube or whatever you want to do. So for me, I like that extra application that I have a buffer zone between me and the end user, where they can message me and talk to me, and I'll help them and work things out with them. But if there's like major issues, the Drip customer service team will take care of that. And then the fulfillment process is just so much easier. But same thing with Drip and whatnot, and really YouTube as well, you got to have your own independent following. You have to. If you think, hey, I have, 500 followers on Instagram and my posts get 2 likes every time, I'm going to go on YouTube and start live streaming and sell, thousands of packs a week. No, nobody's going to be there to know that you don't have a following built up. Same exact thing if you go to Drip or whatnot. You don't have a following built up. So you've got to build your own following, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Instagram, whether it's a following on Drip or a following on whatnot. You've got to build that base. There's no shortcuts. You got to have some type of pool of people that believe in you and want to support you and participate in whatever you're doing to be moderately successful in any of those areas.
How often do you live stream pack breaks?
I usually stream at least once a week, sometimes 2. And I mix it up. I do pack breaks, and then I like to do a lot of games. So today is a pack break, just like, hey, we're opening packs. But last Friday, I had a big old spin wheel, and I think it was $10 for a spin, and there was 3 piles that you could pull from. So whatever the spin landed on, you got to pull from that pile. And one pile was cards valued from $5 to $8. One pile was cards valued from like $10 to $20, and one pile was slabs that were valued for like $20 to $30. And it was fun. People loved it. You pay $10 for a spin, and maybe you get lucky and get something cool. And it was all just singles and slabs. And then I'll do like deal or no deal games, where you buy a ticket to play deal or no deal. I'll lay out all the cards. Like, here's the chase that you're chasing after. Flip it over. All right, pick 3 cards. Now I'm going to make you a deal. Pick 3 cards. Now I'm going to make you a deal. That's a really fun one too. So
that sounds fun,
I try to. Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta do more than just pack rips, unless you're PokeRev and you have just a huge following of people that want to buy stuff from you. You got to mix it up and make it fun. And for me, it's also about engaging with people and spending time with them and having fun. And if I can have fun and be nice to people and make a little bit of money, then I think that's a huge win.
That's the biggest thing: being able to open all this stuff and not have to go bankrupt on yourself by doing it. I love opening packs, and that was like one of the biggest things for me. Is like, oh, I can open packs, and I'm not going to go bankrupt. This is great.
It's a huge thing. Yeah, I get to open 100 packs of Lost Origin tonight, and I'm not going to be out $500.
Yeah,
awesome. I get to have the fun of doing it.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. Like, I've always believed that I'm not going to do anything that I wouldn't do or haven't done myself.
Yeah,
I've participated in pack breaks. I like it. I mean, when you can buy, a few packs of something and possibly get that crazy card that's worth $100, it's like, you can win. It's a gamble. Obviously it's fun. It's a gamble. You can win, but it's like, I wouldn't do anything if I felt like it was unfair, or if I felt like, I wouldn't do it myself, type thing.
Yeah. Same. And I'll go and I'll buy on every once in a while. I'll buy in somebody's YouTube rip, or I'll go and buy from people on Drip, and it's only people that I like. It's never a rando. It's only people that I'm like, oh, I've watched their content or I've watched their streams. And so it's usually, for me, it's like, okay, I want to take a shot, maybe get something cool, but I like this person. I also want to support them because they're working hard at this and streaming or doing whatever they're doing. And so, like you said, I wouldn't expect people to do something that I don't do myself. I like to go buy from people. I don't do crazy, amounts, but every once in a while I buy stuff. Yeah. And I think it's okay to enjoy that, and it's okay to not enjoy that. Where it gets really gross and dumb, and this doesn't really happen too much anymore. I don't know. Maybe it happens on whatnot. I don't really pay attention to what goes on over there. But when people are, so say it's the Twilight Masquerade pre-release, right? And then so people start going and selling, these packs are going to be $4. And then you go on a stream and people are paying $20 a pack. Not that that's actually happening, but I saw, it was with Celebrations. Somebody on Whatnot got a hold of Celebrations early, and I think people were buying packs for $75. I'm like, you people are more what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't be the price police. Not trying to be price police, but what is happening here? That's where it gets kind of gross.
Yeah. I try to be as fair as possible. I'll even seek out the damaged products. Hey, if you got a box that you're trying to take less for because it's ripped, I'll take it because I'm going to open it. If you're going to give me a little deal, that way I can give the packs a little cheaper to everyone. But oh my gosh, some of those people it's the free market. I get it, but gosh, some of these people, I can't believe they're that they don't know that much and they're going to pay that, but it happens.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. I think I mentioned this to you a little bit when we were off stream. I won't get into the minutia of it, but I was telling you, I was with Whatnot like almost from the beginning. I bet you there's 150 people in this stream. The only person that knows what I'm about to say is this guy right here, UMA Collectibles. Whatnot started off as a Funko Pop verification company. They were a third-party service that you could buy. So I could go and list. So I go list a Funko Pop, and then Alex, you see it and you buy it, and I send it to Whatnot, and they verify it, make sure it's legitimate, and then send it to you. That's what Whatnot started off as. And I was working with them when that happened and when we were doing all that. And then so when it came, I actually gave them the idea to start doing Pokemon streams. And so when the live streaming app started, going crazy, one of the wildest things was this was like right in the middle of the crazy pandemic hype, post Logan Paul hype. And I had a heavy base set Charizard booster pack. I weighted on the scale. This was on stream. I weighted on the scale. It was 21.18, something like that. I was like, this is like right there where it should be heavy. I showed everybody. It's like, I'm going to put it. This was one of the first streams, right? We were all still figuring out what's going on in the streams and everything. I put it up for auction. Somebody paid $1,500 for that pack. And I was like, all right, I'm going to ship this sealed to you. They're like, no, open it up. So I opened it up and it was the last trainer. Then, of course, I was vilified and people said I was a horrible scammer. The guy that bought it from me, Ted, I was terrible, neglected to tell everybody that he got refunded, his money. But that's I bring that up as an example of how things can get crazy. And like, I've been there and like, I don't like to do that stuff. And fortunately, circling it all back to what you're saying about the Pokemon market, fortunately, the market's back to a place where people aren't spending $1,500 on a base set booster pack anymore. Yeah. Where in reality, I don't think anybody should be opening base set booster packs.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your money.
Yeah. I mean, let's use the Charizard, or if like you get something great to 10, it's just so hard. But no, I mean, I think that's the funniest part about the whole like, scam thing. It's like, yes, there are 100% scammers out there, but it's like for people to think like, that someone like me or you would do something that would jeopardize our entire image, our entire brand, our business and everything to make like a little bit extra on a pack. Guys, It doesn't even make logical sense. It makes no sense. Why would I do that? Like,
I've literally built over the past almost 6 years a reliable career for myself that pays my mortgage, feeds my children. I grew up in a situation where we didn't even have everything that we needed. We had multiple Christmases where we didn't know if we were going to have a home after Christmas Day. That's the type of situation I grew up in. Walking into your house probably 6 or 7 times over your childhood and your front door's been kicked in and everything's gone. You've been robbed. That's the situation that I grew up in. So I've been able, because of YouTube, been able to build an income where I can give my children everything they need and some of the stuff that they want. I'm driving a 2013 truck. My wife's driving a 2009 Honda. We're not rich, but I can give my children everything they need and some of the things that they want. Are you really stupid enough to think that I'm going to jeopardize all of that over a couple packs?
Yeah.
You think I'm going to jeopardize my reputation over a single video? People are really short-sighted to think that like a creator would jeopardize everything they've built for one video. You got to really think critically about these things. Like, and are you going to jeopardize everything and sell Wade packs, right? Or are you going to sell packs from dead boxes and jeopardize all of the credibility? No, it's stupid. Now, somebody that's a full-time streamer with shady morals, would they do that?
Right.
We've seen it happen.
Yeah, and that's why I've always done like, booster boxes or ETBs or like UPCs. Like I open it sealed on stream and just like, that way, it's like, hey, you got a pretty good guaranteed hit rate. Everything's, not tampered with, not weighed, whatever, all that stuff. But no, I mean, so to take it into more of the drama side of things, right? You weren't obviously involved in the stream, and I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. The J Love stream.
Oh, the J Love stream.
I mean, literally, first of all, swear to God, I didn't know who the guy was. Okay,
you didn't know who J Love was?
I got bombarded with like multiple Discord tags and people messaging me, Alex, you got to watch this video. You got to respond to it, whatever. So I watched the video. Yeah, he was down on investing, but it didn't seem like it was like so crazy. But I'm like, all right, cool. I'll respond to it. It's great content. I'll get some views. Responded to it. And, at the end of his video, he said, reach out if you want to talk about it. So I reached out to him, got brought on the stream, and had no idea what I was getting into. Had no idea it was going to be like 600 people live, thousands of views.
It was wild how many people were in that watching.
I mean, afterwards, the whole week afterwards, I was getting tagged in videos every single day of all these different creators making the responses. So you weren't in it, obviously. You were, looking in.
I wasn't in it because I was not welcome to be there.
How do you think it went? How do you think the two sides did? How do you think investing and it was represented? Give your take on the whole thing, man.
So first, I think the stream was a little over 4 hours. I watched 3.5 hours of it.
Well, to be fair, he kicked us off after about 3 hours and then streamed by himself for a while.
Oh, okay. So then I caught most of it then. Okay. I caught most of it. And then I had to go to bed because I'm old and I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And like I said, I have 3 kids. So the first thing I want to say, I think it was awesome. The entire thing was 600 people in a stream is awesome. It was probably great for J-Love's analytics and metrics. Awesome for him. The stream in and of itself was phenomenal because I'm gonna stand here and sit on the soapbox without getting too much into drama details, but it was great because it's the first time in the 5 years that I've been a content creator that I saw people who disagreed get together and be willing to face each other and talk in a professional or somewhat professional manner and actually talk about things. Too often we have people, and I'll call you out in the chat. Some of y'all in the chat even doing this right now. Too often we have people that are willing to scream at somebody behind the safety of a screen, behind the safety of a keyboard, behind the safety of a camera, and not actually get face-to-face and talk with that person. And J-Love facilitated an environment where people who disagreed could get together and talk face-to-face. And that is awesome. And that's a lot of what's wrong with our society today as a whole, is people aren't having those conversations. That's what makes America wonderful. That's what makes freedom in civilized society wonderful, is people with opposing experts with opposing belief systems should get together and talk and present information, and the people watching can decide what they want to decide and what they want to believe in and support based on the information that's been given to them. J-Love facilitated that opportunity, and regardless of the fact that there's issues and drama with all of that, I think that was amazing. I think it was a huge net positive for the community, and I think people should do it more. I'd like to do that. Maybe I've talked to you about this. I've tossed around the idea of maybe starting up a monthly, show where we have a couple people on and just that don't necessarily agree and talk, because it's good for people to actually see what people think when they actually talk with each other. So in that regard, it was a huge, huge, huge success. Now, there's other elements of it that we won't get into, but it was clear that some people that were out of their depth in that stream. We'll just say that. But I think it was wonderful. It was a wonderful thing. It was a beautiful thing to watch people that disagree actually talking with each other in the Pokemon community, because it's just too much turd slinging. It's what you see all the time.
It's funny too about the keyboard warrior stuff. It's like they've created this world where they try to put you in a box to where they can just throw whatever they want at you, slander you, or just talk crap to you. And then if you acknowledge it and say, hey, all these guys are hating on me, it's, oh, you're a victim mentality. And then if you try to fight back and say anything back, it's, oh, you can't take criticism. He's soft. It's like, dude, so I just have to sit here and take things from you and pretend it doesn't happen and not say anything back?
And if you ignore it, then it's like, well, why aren't you defending yourself? You must be guilty. Yeah. It is a no-win situation. But somebody gave me some advice that I really, really have stuck to. And this is ironically somebody that, when stupid crap has happened, decided, to not talk to me anymore, which kind of sucked. But their advice, I'll never stop thinking about that advice. This was in regard to haters, to people that just want to throw mud, right? And I was asking, like, hey, is it good to reply to stuff like this or to ignore it? And he was like, the people that are doing things like that and the people that are saying things like that are never going to go further than where they really are. One day you'll be talking to people presenting to people, making video for people that millions of people are going to watch. And they're still going to be making content that only thousands of people are going to watch. And that's the biggest FU you can ever give to them. And if you acknowledge them, that'll never happen. Look at Leonhardt, look at Ando, look at PokeRev. How much hate do you think those three guys have had? None of them have ever addressed it.
Yeah.
They get millions of views. It's the biggest F off they could ever give to these people that do nothing but throw mud and trash what they do for a living.
Yeah, I definitely need to get better at that. It's like, because you're right, it's just a no-win situation. It's like, you just have to sit there and like take the abuse, because they're just always going to find something to say to you, and it's at the end, it's probably going to make you look bad for even going back and forth and like getting down in the mud with them.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that there's no win, right? I think the only way in which there could be a win is if there's an environment where you're live to the public talking about your differences to each other, right?
Yeah, and I think if you do something like that in the future, my advice is, and that's what I'm going to do on my channel if I do the same thing, is I think you have to limit it to probably like 4 people at most. I think, and I even told my other people this that were texting me about it.
4 is great.
I said, don't get too hyped up. This is probably not going to be that good of a stream because there's just too many people. There's too many voices. By the time you talk and then it gets back around to you, your points being so convoluted into something else, and like the conversation shifted. And it's just so hard to keep a good conversation going with too many people. Yeah,
4 is perfect. If you did 5, 1 just needs to be a moderator.
Yeah,
right. Somebody just needs to be there to be able to just to moderate back and forth. But 4 is really, really good. And I think it's I think just people need to talk more. People need to talk to each other more and see discuss different things. I can say from personal experience, like any time that there's been like a hateful video made about me, you know how many times those people have reached out to talk to me and ask my perspective?
Zero.
And so I don't believe in judging somebody that you haven't talked with personally. A great example is Gary Haas, King Pokemon.
Okay.
King Gary, you know who he is?
Yeah.
So he travels with Collecticon. I have met him countless times. I have sat with him and talked with him countless times. I've met his wife. I've met his children. They are good people. They are really good people.
Yeah.
And so many people hate him because of people that have made content saying he's awful because of this, that, and the other. And I'm just using him as an example, right? If you haven't met somebody and actually spent time with them, you shouldn't judge them. You don't have a right to judge somebody that you don't have a personal experience with. And when you start taking somebody else's opinion and making your judgment off of it, that's when you can get into some really scary territory.
And to build on that too, it's like, you're never going to get anywhere like arguing online with people you only know through like, commenting back and forth or through Discords. Like, you're only really going to get through to people, and they're only going to get through to you when you actually have some kind of relationship built and you actually have some kind of respect for each other, and you can see things from each person's perspective. Those are the only times you're ever going to like change your mind in a debate or an argument.
Right.
These stupid Discord conversations back and forth, it's never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a long answer for, I think the stream was a great thing to put on. I think it gave a lot of people's perspective. It was awesome that there was 600 plus people in it. I think it helps that like everybody that was in it was kind of like, promoting it. So, a couple people from this person's following, a couple people from this person's following, a couple people from this person's following. And then the YouTube algorithm just starts picking it up. And I guarantee you that stream was being fed to people that watch Pokemon YouTube content just when they popped on YouTube. So that was probably helping a lot too. But I think it showed that it's a winning formula just as far as engagement. I think it's a winning formula just to like get people to talk to each other and, learn varying perspectives on things. And like you as a Pokemon card investor are not wrong. And J-Love as somebody who doesn't want to invest is not wrong. Neither of you are wrong. They're both okay.
Yeah, it may be like a naive like dream, I guess I have. It's probably something that'll never happen in this hobby, but I still strive to make it happen one day. Is to where everything is just accepted and it's seen as like a successful in a legitimate way to enjoy the hobby. Like people like see Pokemon investing, they say, "Oh yeah, that works." It's very it's obvious. Like if you have enough time, if you want to take that route, sure. Pokemon collecting. Yeah, it's great. You know, it's blah, 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 have fun. Oh yeah, Pokemon like flipping and like you do running a business, buying collections. Oh yeah, it's great. If you got the time to do it, you can take things off other people's hands that don't have the time and don't want to put forth the work. You do the work, you get paid for it. That's great. Like I want to get to the point where everything's just accepted, modern and vintage, where everything's just accepted and there's not all these like stigmas. Like, I mean, dude, like the whole like modern vintage thing, like I've made multiple videos, but I mean, I get, you know, because people know like I'm, you know, pro modern and stuff. I get sent like DMs on, or not DMs, but like Instagram conversation and Discord conversation screenshots every week from people. And it's always like the same stuff. Like, oh, all this is going to zero. These modern people are so irrational. They lack common sense. You know, this shouldn't be happening. It's all manipulation. And it's like, my dream is to get to the point where it's like everyone can coexist and be happy. Like vintage collectors can enjoy the rarity and the scarcity of that stuff. Modern investors can enjoy, you know, the popularity, demand, and more people wanting that, even though there's more available, and everyone just kind of accepts and respects everyone's way. But I just don't know. Maybe it's a naive way of thinking that we'll ever get there.
I don't think we'll ever get there. And I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think discourse is good. Discourse is a positive thing for people to have opposing opinions. I think where it gets bad, where it gets gross is when you condemn and like vilify people for having a difference of opinion than you. You investing in Pokemon cards isn't hurting me, you know, physically. It's not hurting me. And me buying slabs and doing streams, selling 100 packs, 200 packs isn't hurting anybody. And I think it's I doubt we'll ever get to a point where everybody's just happy-go-lucky for everybody, especially when it's weird with YouTube. YouTube has trending waves, right? When I first started doing YouTube, drama content in the Pokemon space wasn't a thing. It just wasn't a thing. What was popular was cracking packs, opening cool product, showing people the cool product. It's what everybody really liked. And then the pandemic hit, and then that really exploded, and then news exploded. And then kind of after the pandemic is when the drama stuff started getting really popular. And so YouTube goes in trends. And the trend right now...
Speaking of that, like this comment right here, Leonhardt, isn't he the one that's the most hated people in the Pokemon space? So speaking of that, back then, he was not. He was loved.
Everybody loved him. And people still love him. And here's when you're as big as Leonhardt is, I guarantee you Leonhardt is more hated than both of us combined. Why? Because millions and millions of people know who he is.
But I mean, look, I watched Leonhardt when I got in the hobby and he had like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000 subscribers when I started watching him. I mean, he was literally loved by everyone until, like you said, till that drama content started and people started making views and getting money off of like trying to, you know, catch people or tear people down. And it's like, that's when it started.
Yeah, when I started watching him too, but I started watching Leonhardt when he was doing his campaign to hit 1 million, and he was at like 750,000. That's when I started watching Leonhardt. And even then there wasn't drama content against him too much. But the reality is like, if he's super hated or he's not, like, who cares? The man was an attorney and quit his job as an attorney because of his Pokemon business. He does good things for the community. He regularly does charities and gives money to charities. I've met him multiple times. He's genuinely a nice person, but being at the level that I'm at, which is still relatively small, I can understand when you get that level, you have to put distance between yourself. I've met Real Breaking Nate a couple times, and he's massively popular, right? And he told me that like he has to shop for his groceries in another city than where he lives. They have to put their car in the garage, load their dogs into the car, back out of the garage, and drive to another city to walk their dogs because people recognize him. And you have to have that distance between yourself and other people, and it causes people to be jaded, and people who don't understand will look at it and like, well, he's a POS. He probably thinks he's better than everybody. And I'm just saying I can understand the need to put distance that he's done. He seems unapproachable. I get it, but he's a really nice guy, and he's done a lot for the community. And he's one of the biggest names. So, I mean, you and I both could go make a video tomorrow and put Leonhardt's face with a crying emoji on it and say F Leonhardt, and we'd get a ton of views. We would get a ton of views. It's the easiest low-hanging fruit there is. But when you exclusively make content like that, you know what it doesn't do? It doesn't perform over time. It doesn't make you look good to brands and businesses. And if you're in this game like I am, to open up doors and opportunities for a real career and longevity, like some opportunities that I have coming up, doing that type of stuff doesn't afford that. If you have a brand looking at you, or I auditioned for I auditioned to be a expert game show host for this game show that's doing a pilot in the summer. And if I had made content poo-pooing on people all the time, do you think I would have been approached by that casting agency to audition for that role? No. And it's just, you got to look at what your goals are. And if your goals are to actually create something sustainable, what's going to provide that is adding value, being kind, and being somebody that a business is going to actually want to work with.
Yeah. I'm kind of terrified of getting bigger at this point. Like, you know, I mean, cause we've both experienced a good amount of hate in this hobby. It's like, I can't imagine getting to like that level of success, the amount of, you know, things you're gonna have to deal with. Right.
Yeah. PokeDarp said, do you think we get a skateboard up on that wall? Honestly, I want to redo this whole wall. So this whole wall right here is windows. There's all windows behind there. So that has to be shelves. But I've got like this giant fake first edition Charizard right there, my office thing. I kind of want to take all of this down, and I have an LED frame with David Martinez from Cyberpunk Edge Runners that I want to put up there. And I wouldn't be against like having, so I have a skateboard on this wall right here, and I wouldn't be against having a couple, like a skateboard mount and like just revolving some Pokemon boards, and there's some cool anime boards and stuff like that. So it's possible that I get a skateboard up there someday, but I've just got to take the time. This is a whole project. I built all of these shelves, and it's a whole project to like redo it all.
I'm the same way. Like, I threw this up behind me just to have something to look decent. I want to build something bigger, but it's like, you know, like you said, just finding the time, doing the construction, getting it all done.
You did a video the other day standing up like with these shelves behind you.
Yeah.
That looked awesome.
Yeah. That's like a walk-in closet that I have, though.
That was great. You should do more content in front of that, because you can still just put your camera up. I was like, dude, I like this. This looks really, really, really good. So whenever you're wanting to do it, this is just from me to you, because you do a lot of videos where you're like showing stuff on your computer, right? So this is the perfect setup. But if you just want to talk, take your camera and go in there, because that looked really, really cool.
Gotcha.
What happened to Dr. Applesauce 1? Dr. Applesauce still exists. I make anime content on that channel.
Let's see. Des Moines Con, Pokemon Department Store. I don't know about that. I'm not going to that. So I think you go to all of them, right? All the Collecticons. I'll be in New Jersey, Kansas City, Chicago this year. You go to all of them, correct?
I think I'll be at those three. I'm missing Orlando, which is in a couple of weeks, because my wife's a teacher and that's her last weekend of the year. And so I can't really leave all the kids with her because she has a lot going on. But I'll be at the others. I'll be at those three, I believe. I'll be at Kansas City. I'll actually be at Kansas City with my whole family. We're going to go on a family vacation, and then we're going to drive to Kansas City. I'm going to bring my whole family to Kansas City, because one of the other creators that's the video, him and his wife are the videographer for Collecticon, Tim. They live in Kansas City.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's great for me because it's only like 3 hours for me, so that's why I go.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people like in the, I guess, YouTube space or community. At least I've seen, like, everyone's always down on the Midwest. Like, they're always down on the Kansas City one.
It's cool. Yeah. Everybody, like, it seemed like nobody wanted to go, and it was great. The convention was great. The convention center was awesome. The city was great. There's no beach or anything, but like, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So we're gonna drive down. It's gonna be like 6 hours, but it's not bad.
Well, it's weird though. There's no beach in, like, you know, where do we go? Like one of the Carolinas, Charlotte. It's like everyone was like all about Charlotte. This is the huge one, and I'm just like, it's Kansas City venue hotel was just as good. What are you talking about?
The reason people are hyping up Charlotte is because the first year at Charlotte, something happened and they were forced to change convention halls. So the one that the two previously that we've been at, it wasn't there. It was at some janky, horrible convention hall the first year. It was bad. And they just like, they had the choice of doing that or canceling the con. And so now we're at the nicer one, which is much better.
I do wonder this all the time, Alex. What happens with the drama content creation?
Oh, Alex, if you can hear me, are you there? I lost you.
Good.
Wait. Are you there?
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. What happens with the what?
When the drama content creators run out of quality drama, they create it and then spew a bunch of nonsense.
Yes. I think you did your mic switch to your webcam mic? I only asked that because that happened on the stream. This is what it sounded like.
Yep.
Nice. How do I know that? Because it happens to me all the time. Hambone says, "How tall are you?" I am 6'3", 245 pounds. I am not a small man.
Wow, it is like not picking up my mic anymore.
Plug and unplug your mic.
I just did. Dang it. It sounds terrible, doesn't it?
It's just echoey. I mean, it's not like unlistenable.
Yeah. All right, here, take another one. Let's see.
Heard a couple content creators talk about potential new evolution. Just curious on your guys' thoughts. I haven't heard any rumors on a new evolution. I will say I've been a huge advocate for a new evolution for so long. I would love to see a fighting type evolution, a ghost type evolution, and a dragon type evolution. How cool would those be? I think all three of those, we could have a really, really cool version of evolution. Honestly, like, I thought with Gen 9 we would get one, or a new set of 3, but we didn't. I haven't heard anything about it, but those are my theories and what I'd really like to see.
I love that. I second that. That would be.
Hey, you're back.
Exactly what you described. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
If they reprint PE, do you think it will still be valid for long-term holds? Yeah, I think Pal D Val is one of the strongest sets. I mean, there's always possibilities of reprints, guys. Like, this just, we're in the first year, 2 years still. I mean, I wouldn't freak out over it.
Do you know how to? Can you click comments and bring them on the screen?
Yeah. What do you need?
I would say if you see a comment you want to respond to, or one that like we want to talk about, click and put it on the screen, and we
are you not seeing them?
Oh, are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's because I have you popped out so that I can have. Huh?
You see that?
No, I can't see it because I have you. Okay. Remember, I popped out your screen so that I'm looking here instead of looking over here. So cool.
Every time you say when I'm pulling it up.
Okay, cool.
What's your guys' thoughts on the new pack opening site, Open TCG? Had a few people mention it to me. First, I've heard of it. Have you?
I've heard of it too. I've not heard of that one. I would say, what's the difference between Whatnot and Drip, and like Fanatics? Like, there's already a bunch of other places doing that. So what's the difference? But I've not heard of it personally. Billy
Pets has a super chat. I'm throwing inspiration card parody at Kudos Taylor, Michigan. August 4th, 100 plus vendors, free to vend, free admission for community and culture. Really?
Oh, that sounds fun.
That's crazy. Free. All right.
Yeah, ghost type would be so cool.
Let's see.
Dragon type evolution would be awesome. Yeah, give how about an evolution with wings? That'd be super cool. I don't know. I really do wonder if Pokemon's going to do it or not.
What's your here? This would be good to ask you. Like what we perhaps see with contemporary art versus older art.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think the only reason vintage had such a huge bounce was because of Logan Paul. And you had a ton of people come in. Logan Paul in the pandemic at the same time was perfect. People come in. This is the old stuff. This is expensive. So in order for that to happen again, you're going to have an influx of a bunch of people that don't really know about Pokemon that are like, this is what's old and expensive, right? So I don't know. The way Pokemon art looks now, it's not really. The more I study it and the more I look, I used to be like, how the crap are these cards so expensive? And the more I study it and the more I look at it and then realize there's so many more people that love Pokemon now recently than when vintage was, the thing, that it makes sense that so many more people connect with the new cards. And there's no denying the artwork on new cards is so much better. Like, there's classic vintage artwork, right? But like, when you get stuff like this, it's just so good. It's so good. So I don't know. I think vintage will always have its place, but I think we're going to see more and more cards surpassing vintage, like we're seeing with the Moonbryon. like we're seeing with the Giratina V alternate art, that nostalgia only goes so far, rarity only goes so far. And, you know, everybody that wants the Moonbryon, there's probably more people that want a Moonbryon than people that want like a Gold Star Pikachu.
Oh, absolutely.
So that makes the demand and scarcity for the Moonbryon much higher. So it makes sense when you really think about it. So I don't know. I don't know if vintage will have a research. I think the vintage is cool. There's certain vintage cards that I love. And you know, if modern really continues to do what it's doing, it doesn't surprise me if things keep kind of going the way that they're going.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, me and you both, we both grew up with vintage, love vintage. When I got back in the hobby, I collected nothing but vintage.
Yeah.
And it's like now when I'm putting them side by side, it's like, would I rather pay X amount of dollars for this card or the same amount for this vintage card? 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I'm picking the modern card.
Yeah.
And so I think some vintage can do good, but it'll be like 90, 95% won't type thing. Like, we're not going to see like these crazy jungle Pikachus spike up or these random mid-era hollows. And, you know, we're not going to see that again. We'll see probably, you know, some of the mainline stuff, the gold stars, crystals, shinings, the first edition base or, you know, jungle fossil. But like this whole thing where like the rising tide races all ships, I don't think we're going to see that again.
Yeah, I think you'll see it continue to increase. But if you're looking at something from the perspective of like what has more opportunity, the thing that has less of a life is going to have more opportunity than something that already has an established value after 15 or 20 years, right? So where you have a vintage card that a vintage hollow is worth $20, it's probably not going to mature that much. But if you have a, you know, full art, look at some of the full art evolutions from Evolving Skies that weren't worth anything that are now worth $50. Like, there's a reason Evolving Skies is so popular. It's not just Moonbryon. Yeah, Moonbryon's a big part of it. But if you look past all the alternate arts, there's still cool cards. There's good cards in Evolving Skies. You got the Evolution full arts. You got the Evolution VMAX Rainbow Rares. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Absolutely. The Gyarados. Yeah. All right. Billy Pet says, what are your thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh? Feel like Konami should learn from Pokemon and make full art, alt arts, bring Yu-Gi-Oh back from the Shadow Realm. What's your experience with Yu-Gi-Oh?
I know absolutely nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh other than I watched it a little bit when I was a kid. I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know how to play it. I know that there is a Blue Eyes White's Dragon, that there's an Exodia that's like 5 cards that you put all in one. Outside of that, I know next. And I know that the cards are a lot smaller. I have a friend of mine that was, he was probably one of the top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh TCG players back in when he was younger. And he does a fantastic business selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards on eBay. And he just buys bulk, and then takes the time to sit through it. And then he sells hundreds of cards a week that are $2, $3, $4, $5 each that he probably paid a quarter for. He makes a ton of money doing that, but he also, you know, is fulfilling 500 orders of $2 cards every week. But, you know, money's money.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't pay attention to the new stuff. I did buy some of the 25th anniversary because just wanted to relive the nostalgia, and I think other people will want to too. But yeah, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion, it just got so crazy with all the different types of gameplays, all the different types of cards. It's become so it's just too confusing to me at this point. But no, I mean, as far as like the artwork, I think full art, alt art type stuff, I think that can do good in anything. Same way we just talked about vintage. Anytime you make things more flashy, more cool, more collectible, they're probably going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's one of the things that caused a lot of people to fall out of love with MetaZoo is outside of the other issues that happened there, they didn't evolve their cards at all over the 6 or 7 sets that they had out. And it was something that people were asking for. People were asking for full arts. People were asking for different things, and the card art never evolved. And I think there's a lot more to it, but I think that was part of it. People want full art cards. People want to see these full arts. And even Magic the Gathering doesn't do full arts, but they've kind of came up with their compromise. They'll do showcases, or they'll do borderless. They'll do cards that like there's no borders, there's no boxes or anything, but you still have all your text and everything on it. So like still the same frame. There's just it's not really full art all the way, but kind of sort of. So even Magic has kind of adopted that to a degree.
No, absolutely. All right, man. This is something you will be able to comment on. The Japanese bubble just popped. What do you guys
Yeah.
think will be the catalyst for a few years down the road for it to rise again?
I think the Japanese bubble was a thing because there's a small cabal of people in Japan that look at a set and say, okay, let's put out buy list prices for the full art secret rare Iono for $2,000. And
Did you just use the word cabal?
I did.
Dude, he's caballing.
I didn't see your shirt. But no, legitimately, like I believe that there was a small group of shops or investors or whatever you want to call it in Japan that would put out buy lists on cards, and then if it worked, it worked, and if it didn't, and they had to drop it by 50%, well, now it's $1,000 card instead of a $2,000 card, and now the booster boxes are $100 instead of $50. We still won. I think that's really, really, really what pushed the Japanese craziness, and I think that a big part of that was the surgence of streamer culture. You would have people over here willing to pay more for cards over there, and then that led them to test the market and push and push and push and push until they couldn't push anymore, and now they're drawing back. It's exactly what Magic the Gathering did. They pushed and pushed and tested how far can we push our customers until they won't handle it anymore, and then they slapped everybody in the face with the Magic the 30th $1,000 for 4 booster packs of reprints that we said we would never reprint, that you can't actually play, and they lost millions of dollars on it. Similar situation. I think it kind of got pushed. So will it happen again? I could see it happening again, but what's the next thing that's going to hype everything up like streamer culture did, right? Streamer culture is already here. If you're not already actively streaming and you don't already have some type of a customer base or a following, it's hard to get into streaming. So it's kind of like established, sort of. You have to really work ahead of time to be able to really do well in that space. So what's the next thing that could happen that could cause people to want to manipulate things that much, right? And then this was even proven by the fact that when the rumors of the Pokemon 151 Japanese reprints came, all of a sudden there was thousands of boxes available. It's like, wait, the reprints aren't coming for 2 months. Where's all this product coming from? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one thing I just want to caution everyone is falling into the trap of, it used to be worth this much, it's going to go back to that. It's like the same thing happened in English. We had Vivid Voltage go to $200 a box, Battle Styles $200 a box. We had the Rainbow Rare Pikachu, whatever, $1,000 a card, like the Hidden Fates Charizard. Like we had the same thing happen in English during the big English boom. And a lot of that stuff, most all of it's never recovered to its all-time highs yet.
Yeah.
And so just be careful getting on this bandwagon of, oh my gosh, this is the best time to pick everything up, buy low, sell high, everything's going to rebound back to where it was. It's like, no, it'll take time. It'll probably have some rebounds just like markets do. Yeah. But to expect these unrealistic gains of it's going to go back to its old highs, very unlikely in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Especially those waifus that were like tens of thousands of dollars. Probably never going to see that again. The same way we're probably never going to see a PSA 9 base set Charizard going for $7,000 again.
Well, and it's not the smart people that are buying when things are doing that. Right? It's not the people that make really intelligent decisions. Like the biggest thing that I've done, I did this in my Funko content, and I continue to do it in my Pokemon content. It's my job to make these videos. Thank the Lord, I love it. So I have the luxury of paying really close attention to trends, and all this is looking at trends and saying, "Oh, this is happening right now. Well, this happened here and here and here and here, and this was the result. So it's really likely that the result will be this." And it's just making educated assumptions based on trends. So you see waifu card selling for $10,000 or a waifu selling for $2,000 raw out of the gate. Well, you can look at past trends and see it's probably not going to stay that way.
No. Yeah. Don, we kind of touched on the Japanese reprints. Do you see the same thing happening for English? I mean, of course. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, look at Shining Fates and what was the most recent holiday Celebrations. We're still finding those from time to time popping up in stores, right? Yeah. So Pokemon 151, I think we will still see. And here's the thing: I don't understand why. I can't wrap my head around why people think Pokemon 151 is scarce. You could literally give me 5 minutes and I'll go find 5 stores that you can buy ETBs for $50 right now.
Well,
but
Costco still got the UPCs for 90.
Yeah, but it's because, well, I don't want that product. Oh, I thought you just wanted packs of Pokemon 151 to open. Oh, you want a specific product. Well, that's a different thing. That's not Pokemon 151. That's a specific product that you're wanting. Pokemon 151 has been readily available this entire time if all you're wanting to do is crack packs. Never been an issue to get it. You might not be able to walk into the store and buy it. Now,
Right.
that being said, will we see more 151? Yeah, I think we're going to continue to see it for a couple years. They did that with Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates came out in 2019. Well, we saw the last big wave of Hidden Fates hit us, what, in 2021? Something like that. Like, it's kind of Pokemon's MO with specialty sets to do that.
I gotta get your take on this. Pokemon Pocket Game digital packs. What's the future look like for digital Pokemon assets?
Oh. Non-existent, hopefully.
I mean, guys, like, you guys know the code cards you get in your packs? Like, every pack, people just throw away, or they give them away for free, or they try to sell them in, like,
you get digital cards with those.
Yeah, nobody wants them. Those are packs. Like, those are, you get on the Pokemon TCG online, you can open packs with those cards. No one cares. They're worth like a penny.
Yeah.
Like,
But you can play with them, you know? Like, yeah. The Pokemon, the Pocket Game. So basically what the Pokemon Pocket Game is Pokemon Pocket Game is My First Battle. My First Battle is a very simplistic version of Pokemon TCG that you can play teaching kids. When I looked at Pokemon Pocket, I was like, oh, this is My First Battle. It's simplified rules, quicker gameplay. Games should be, 5 minutes for a game instead of maybe 15 or 20 minutes for a game. So I think it's cool. I think it'll be a good way for people to experiment with the TCG. As far as digital assets, just look at the NFT boom and then look at where it is now. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's a good one there. Billy Tess donated again. What's up, man? Thoughts on Pokemon Pot? Oh, he asked us again. Okay, we just answered that. All right, appreciate you donating again, though, dude. Oh wait, what do you say at the end there? Also need the Nomics auto on my Zard, like Doctor signed. Okay.
Oh, I've signed your card, Billy. I signed a card for you, Billy. Wait, is it the was it the special delivery Charizard? I made a video. Somebody approached me at a Collecticon and was like, hey, will you sign my special delivery Charizard? This was when special delivery Charizard was like $50-$60. It's like, yeah, sure. I told my friend, I was like, hey, here, record this. So he recorded me signing it. And so I made a short video and I said, I can't believe he did that to a Charizard. And it's just me signing it. And the video went viral. It got like hundreds of thousands of views. I'm like, I'm just signing the card.
Of course it did, though. Yeah. Hey, man, if you're going to be at Collecticon, I'll sign the same card for sure.
Dawn, I haven't played Pokemon TCG in a little bit, maybe a couple months, probably since 2024, because when 2024 hit, a lot of really, really hard things happened with my family, so I haven't had time to play, but I do play. I have decks right here and right over there that I've built, and I almost went and played Twilight Masquerade last night for pre-release, but I think I ate something and I did not feel good last night. But I used to play the TCG online all the time, go to my local game stores and play. I have a really cool Miraidon deck that I love. I had a Lost Box deck that I really, really loved. So, yeah, the Pokemon TCG is fun.
And I haven't played since, well, actually, I did play the Pokemon TCG online when it first came out in like 2017 or something. Or
now they have the new one, Pokemon Live.
Okay. Well, I played when I got back in the hobby in like 16 or 17. So that's been my, it since I was a kid. But all right, You Small Fish wants us to elaborate on the vintage comment. So he was referring to art industry paintings. Would there be periods where old master art like Rembrandt and Van Gogh beat contemporary art?
So was he talking about like the Pikachu collaboration?
I think he's just talking about, I guess, will like the appreciation for the older cards maybe come back the same way like vintage art appreciation came back? And I don't know. I'm having a hard time kind of trying to get what he wants out of us.
Let's see.
I mean, if you're talking about, are there like vintage arts that are appreciated? Yeah. I mean, like one of the best ones I can think of is like the Shining Gyarados from Neo Rev. Like that's a great looking card. There's a lot of great vintage arts cards. It's just the amount of people that know about them, right? Because a lot of people don't even know they just got in the hobby for the first time. The amount of people that like dive that far back in the hobby, because think about it, there's so much to collect. And they're constantly printing more sets every couple of months. And it's impossible to even have enough money and time to collect everything now to get everything you want now, and then make your way to Sun and Moon, then XY, then Black and White. It's just very hard to spread everyone that thin. So I think that's more it has to do with it than people just not liking them.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of so there's a nice little parallel here with anime as well. So like I told you, my first love was anime. I've been a huge anime fan for 22 years. So back when I started watching anime, it was a lot more niche. Anime was harder to find, a lot far and in between. And now it's a lot more mainstream, and there's a lot more people that like it. So here's the parallel, right? So talking about anime 20 years ago to anime now, vintage Pokemon to modern Pokemon. There are way more anime fans within the past 10 years than the previous 10 years. There's way more Pokemon card collectors in the past 10 years than the previous 10 years. So by scale, modern is going to be way more popular just because there are so many more people that collect the cards and enjoy the cards. So yes, Scarlet and Violet has a higher print run. There's also a heck of a lot more collectors than there were when Sword and Shield base came out. By an exponential amount, like a huge number. So I think that's something to, I don't know, you got to think about too.
Yeah, I mean, and then people are, that's what he kind of said is like the parallel, comparing the art industry paintings to Pokemon with old paintings doing better than contemporary modern art now or something. So yeah, I mean, I get the parallel you're trying to make. I'm just not sure this industry is a good comparison to actual art.
Yeah, I think most contemporary modern art is money laundering anyways, so there's that.
Oh, that's good. NFTs have dropped 95%, but so did Bitcoin more than once. NFTs can have a similar future, Alex says. Uh-oh. The NFT.
Hey, it's possible. It's possible. I have a position in crypto about $1,500 worth. At one point, it was worth $5,000, and now I think it's worth $200. So,
forever, never selling.
I was like, I was like, okay, I want to invest this. Okay, $1,500 is a small price to pay. What if? What if? If I lose it all, that's okay. I don't need it right now. But if something crazy happens, cool.
Yeah.
I should have cashed out at $5,000.
Right. That's the story of everyone's life, though. Even in this hobby, right? It's like should have sold here, should have bought more here, all that.
Oh well.
Guys, we're going to wrap things up here soon, but any last minute questions, leave them in the chat now. We'll take them. Will, anything else you want to say while we're on here? Like anything you wanted to get into? Any type of comments?
Not really. No. I mean, we talked about a lot of good stuff. I think my biggest encouragement for everybody is just with all the drama that's going on in the world and even in the Pokemon space, like, don't judge somebody till you've had an opportunity to meet them and to, if they're a content creator, consume their content, because anybody can make one or two videos saying this person's a bad person. But if you go watch 10 videos that person's made and you're like, they don't seem like a bad person, like they're either faking it or something's not adding up, right? It's the same thing in everyday life. And my big encouragement is just talk to people, be kind. That's really what the Pokemon community and the world as a whole needs, is to just talk to each other and be kind to each other, and approach out of a place of love, not approach out of a place of condemnation. And that's really honestly how I try and approach my content. And yeah, I get snarky with people in comments, and I can't help but dunking on people sometimes. Like somebody left a nasty comment on the live stream. And I don't remember who it was, but I'll call you out. They said, "Oh, are we going to talk about how to lose money in Funko Pops?" Hang on, my friend. I started my Funko Pop collection in 2014 with $600. Over the last 9 years, I probably spent an additional $2,000 for a total investment of about $2,600 in Funko Pops. Over that time, I bought and sold multiple collections to build my collection. And last year, I sold 75% of my collection and made about $25,000 to $30,000. So who lost money? Because it wasn't me. That's not even counting the ad revenue that I was getting on my videos and stuff like that. So it just goes, just be kind. And I mean, you know what? I'm human. I got to dunk on people sometimes, but I'm not going to insult you or degrade you or make fun of you.
That's always been my objective in the hobby, because like I've never wanted to go after anyone personally, right? Like I've always wanted to keep it on a topic. So it's like when I've had like debates with people, I've always tried to keep it on topic, on the issue at hand. When I've made videos featuring people, I've tried to keep it on the topic or on the things they've said. Like, don't go after people personally, guys. Like you have a disagreement, you said, reach out to them or make a video about this disagreement about the topic. But it's like to just go after someone personally for whatever you want to pick out and just like throw arrows at them. Like it doesn't do anyone any good. It just makes you look bad. It's ridiculous. I do want to take this question. The megas, like I know like this is the big speculation right now. Mega Pokemon are not, to my best knowledge, in the anime. Any Pokemon can have a mega, like Umbreon, Pikachu. In the anime, I only saw Charizard, blue, black theme. VMAX are not megas. No, VMAX are not megas. Were created back in XY, so it was like during that era. But yeah, I mean, there's a big speculation right now because of the whole Pokemon that video they released, and thinking that they're going to bring back Mega Evolutions in the later Scarlet and Violet. Have you heard anything, or what do you think about that whole thing?
I haven't heard anything, but we brought back EX, right?
Right.
Megas were an extension of EX.
True.
So it would make sense if they did, right? It would make sense. So I don't know. We'll see, but I don't see why they wouldn't if they think it's something that people will like, but who knows really. Now, we already have alternate arts and special. We have these beautiful full art cards. So we already have these awesome full arts. The reason those megas were so popular was because it was a beautiful alternative full art style of card. Well, we kind of already have that. So I don't know. It's a different market that those would be introduced in. And it would depend on collectors to determine if they really, really like those or want those. Cause we already have awesome, beautiful artwork to hit from every set as it is. And it's wild to me with Scarlet and Violet. Like, okay, Sword and Shield brought the alternative artwork. Sword and Shield's going to go down as a fantastic era because of that, right? And then Pokemon took that. So here's a little secret. This is what the Pokemon Company does. They do this on a micro level and they do this on a macro level, okay? With everything, they introduce something new, okay? We saw this with alternate arts in, was it Battle Styles that was the first alternate art set? I think it was Battle Styles that had the alternate art Urshifus and Empoleon. We saw this with, was it Silver Tempest? I think it was Silver Tempest that was the first set to do booster bundles. And then we saw this with Celebrations. That was the first set to do the Ultra Premium collections. So here, 3 different things that they did for the first time, right? It was Celebrations, wasn't it? That did the first, the Celebrations Ultra Premium. Yeah, that was the first Ultra Premium collection box of that level.
I think Hidden Face, they called it Ultra Premium too.
But they didn't have it in like that box.
Right.
So it was the first kind of way they did it like that. So what Pokemon does is they introduce something new, see how it does. And if it does really, really well, that first iteration usually is pretty valuable. And then they blow it out of the water. So now we have Ultra Premium collections that are selling for well under MSRP, when the original Ultra Premium collection from Celebration sells for, $300-400. And they took alternate arts. They introduced the alternate arts. They did them for Sword and Shield, and then they took the alternate art concept, turned it into SIRs, and did a ton more of them. And now they're less valuable. That's what Pokemon does. They test the waters with something. It does well. The first iterations are always more valuable, and then they make it widely available, and the value goes down. That being said, SIRs are awesome. And like the fact that you can get some of these cards for $15, $20, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And see, like, I was under the impression, like, if they did the megas, it'd be like another layer of rarity. But man, Temporal Forces, and I don't know how Twilight Masquerade is yet, but Temporal Forces is much harder to hit.
It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I know you open a lot too. I mean, I open a ton of products.
It was a noticeable difference.
Yes,
big time.
So they've already upped the hit rates. So I mean, I guess megas will just be even more. I don't know. It could get crazy. It could get wild.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think Pokemon was testing everything with the first few sets. They reined it in a little bit with Temporal Forces. I think they'll probably do the same with Twilight Masquerade, and then reprint as necessary. If it's necessary to do reprints, they will. If they won't, they won't. You know?
All right, taking a couple more, guys. Couple more. All right. I know you don't like touch too deep on the investing side, but like, what's your favorite products? He's asking what's the best thing to invest in for the specialty sets? Like, what do you like the best?
Specialty sets.
Yeah, like the UPC, ETB, booster bundles, mini tin, collection boxes. Like, what are your favorite products for the specialty sets in English?
Specialty sets, ETB.
ETB.
Yeah.
Now PC ETB?
PC ETB. Yeah, PC ETB. Regular ETBs, don't even waste your time. Unless you just have a ton of space. I have pretty strict rules. Booster boxes, they're the best. They've performed the best. Yep. And they're small. Great. ETBs on specialty sets, because you don't get a booster box, specifically PC ETBs. And then if there's like an ancillary special product that comes out that's super cool, I'll get a couple of those as well. So like the Kanto Powers boxes that came out from Evolutions. I have 2 sets of those. The Evolutions boxes that came out, the Evolutions VMAX boxes, the Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon, I have a full sealed set of those. So those are outside of my rule. Like, I only save booster boxes and ETBs unless there's something really cool that comes out. And I have one Evolutions booster box right there.
Nice.
And I'll never open it because it's stupid to open it.
You're getting some content advice. And I don't have the GameStop here in Missouri yet. The deal going on.
Yes.
So they're saying, Applesauce, please do a video going to GameStop and actually doing a PSA slab trade-in. I would be interested.
I plan to do that video. I want to wait until probably the full rollout, because I want to do a realistic video. I don't want to do a video when the employees don't really know what to do. Maybe they haven't worked out the buy prices. I want to wait until the full roll. So I'll probably do that video in June. Once the full rollout's out, and it's like, okay, what you see from my perspective is likely what you'll see from your perspective. That's the type of video that I want to do. And I plan on doing.
Yeah. No, I can't. I want more information to keep coming out, because there's like info on both ends of the board. Like, some people are showing screenshots of like getting very high valuations. Some people are talking about how they're getting like next to nothing for their cards. So again, I can't wait till we get more info on like how the system works. Is it the 8s and 9s or the lower popularity cards getting less and the higher ones getting more?
If you're bringing a PSA 10, are you going to get a full value offer? Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're offering full value on 10s and lower value on 8s and 9s. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to wait till there's a little more info.
Guys, we all got to thank Will for taking time out of his day to do this today. Man, what do you want to end us with? I know you got to get going. So how do you want to end? What do you got to say to end things off here?
I don't know. I think I said it.
Said it.
Collect how you want to, you know. If you want to just collect cards, collect cards. If you want to invest in cards, invest in cards. If you want to do what I think is the most practical thing, is collect and buy wisely so that you can support your collection.
Yeah, guys, that's what I'm going to leave it with too. Is just respect how every single person wants to enjoy the hobby, and you know, I think everyone will be a lot happier and enjoy themselves a lot more in the hobby. So, so I'll leave your other channel there too. I only have your Dr. Applesauce 2 channel in the description. But guys, Will's channel's in the description if you haven't subscribed to him. YouTube at Dr. Applesauce 2. He's also got Dr. Applesauce 1, where you can get that anime content. And
you're a weeb like me.
Yeah, definitely stop by and say hi to him at Collecticons too. He's going to be at most all of them. So that's going to be it for us, guys. See you back.
Fun, y'all. Thank you.